Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. Just remember, no matter how hard you push the envelope, it'll always be stationary. Today, we're taking a look at Hoplomachus Victorum, the solo-only game from Chip Theory Games. Hoplomachus Victorum is a solo-only campaign set in the Hoplomachus world, where it's basically a gladiatorial arena-style game with an overland campaign mode. What you're basically doing over 4 acts is you're taking this lowly little hero and you are transforming him into this mighty, powerful warrior. You're building up tactics. You're trying to recruit new fighters to go along by your side. You're running around the countryside. You're engaging in different opportunities to make yourself better. You're going through bloodshed arenas. You're playing some capture the flag events. You're just doing all kinds of different things to make yourself better and try to defeat the Scion at the end of Act 4. All right, so tell you what, let me explain how the game plays, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So to play the game, the first thing you need to do is you need to get it set up. And I'm not going to cover setup. There's really good rules in the book on how to set it up, and there's a really lot going on for the setup as well. So let's just assume you've already got the game set up and you're ready to play, okay? So the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have the travel phase of the game. Now, at the very beginning of the game, you're in Act 1, okay? You're on your first day. Your token is in the capital of your home world. Now, you're going to have to move out of your capital, and you're going to see there's little dotted dash lines, okay? And you're going to have to follow one of those lines to whichever location you want to go. Now, as a reminder, remember, you can never go back to your home capital, and you can never go back to any of the capitals of any other areas unless you're ready to fight the Primus or the Scion. It's the only time you can ever go to the capital, and the battle begins the second you move in there. There's no other way around it. So always make sure that's the last thing you're going to do for that particular act, okay? So in the travel phase, what's going to happen is you're going to go to one of 3 different locations. It's either going to be a sport, it's going to be a bloodshed, or it's going to be an opportunity, okay? Now, in your movement, you also may notice there's little harbors all over the place. Well, you can jump across a harbor, okay? So you're going to go from a location to a harbor to a location, and you're fine, okay? But one of the things you can do is you can actually go from your location to a harbor, and then you can go to another harbor space, and then to a location. So it's a long sail. When you do that, you're going to lose a day in travel time, but you're going to be able to get across the map a whole lot faster because of it, okay? And then we're going to look at the action we're going to take. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the first card or the front card that's on every single one of them. And if you decide to do the opportunity, you get to draw the opportunity plus the card behind it and figure out what you want to do. Now, one of the options that you do have is you do have the spectating option, okay? Now, a spectating option basically means I don't want to do whatever the event is, but I'm going to lose my day. However, it does come with some advantages as well, also some disadvantages. But what you're going to do is you're going to discard the top card of the event. And most of the time, this is going to be a sport or a bloodshed event that you're going to do that with. Then you're going to draw 3 more cards. You're going to determine the order that you want those cards and put them back in the front. You're going to increase your Scion influence by the number, I believe it's the number that the act is. So if you're in Act 2, you're going to increase it by 2. If you cross off one of the little Scion pieces, marks on your map, then you have to put the little Banes in your bag. Now you're going to fully heal your hero when you do this. So sometimes doing the spectating is really good if your hero is really, really low on health, okay? So it gets you healed up, and then you're going to move on. You're going to mark off that particular day, and then you're going to go back to the next travel phase, all right? Well, let's say you did an opportunity, and what do you want to do? If it's an opportunity, you're going to draw the front card that you've been able to look at, and you're going to draw the second card behind it. You get to figure out which one of those you want. You're just going to put it off on the right-hand side. There's a little spot for them, and the other ones you're just going to put in the back of the card stack, all right? And then you have a new card up front. Now, that opportunity card, if you ever meet the requirements of that opportunity card, you're going to get its reward. That's the whole reason they're there. Sometimes you're going to be able to do them, sometimes you're not going to be able to do them, but at least it gives you another goal to go towards. All right. Now you also have bloodshed events. Bloodshed events are deadly events. When you enter a bloodshed event, basically what you're doing is depending on the land you're in, you're going to set up your map. Okay. You're going to look at the card, and on the left-hand side, it's going to tell you what you're going up against. It'll show like if there's a leader or if it's somebody coming out of the bag, and you work the way top all the way down to the bottom. If there's a little T on it as well, then what you're going to do is you're going to take a tactics card based on whatever the type of character it is. So like it's an archer class, you're going to get a bolster ability, I believe it is. Okay, and you're going to get that tactics chip beside it. So you just kind of put start with the top, put the hero there, put his tactics beside him, and you're just going to go right on down the list till you have everybody set up. Now take note of the card, because the card, when you put it down, it may have some special instructions as well that you may have to do during setup, or it may have stuff during the arena, or just something that's going to happen along the way. So make sure you follow the instructions there. Okay. The right-hand side of the card is going to tell you what you can bring in. Okay. It's going to say if you can bring your however many characters you're going to be able to bring in, if one has to be your hero or whatnot. Okay, and you're going to go with that. So when you're ready to begin the event, what's going to happen is the rival's going to go first. They're going to bring a guy in, and there's a specific phase order that they're going to go down when they do this. Okay, there's the score point phase, and that's only going to be for the sporting events. But otherwise, there's the deployment step. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take whoever's top in the line, and you're going to put them down. The next thing is going to be the tactics placement. If they have tactics that they have and they can play a tactics, they will play the tactics on whoever. Okay, so if it's one for them, they'll play it on themselves. If it's one that's going to be against you, they'll only play it if they're able to. Okay, then you're going to do the movement step. If it's the turn they're deployed, unless they have the right skill, they may not be able to move. So you may be skipping this piece as well at this point in time. There's the ability step. Then again, you got your summoning sickness. Otherwise, all of your guys are going to do their abilities. And then you're going to do the engage step. They're going to go ahead and fight. Okay. Now, one thing to take note is when you're doing your movement step, what you have to do is you have to look at the map you're on. You have to look at the sheet. And on the very bottom, it's going to give basically an order of priority on what they're going to do. So it's going to say how they're going to act and everything else. And you do the best you can so that they can act in that way. And then once the engage step's done, you do all the combats, do everything else. Okay, and then you're going to go on to the hero phase, and then the hero is going to basically do that same thing. But the heroes, what they're going to do is they're going to score points. So if it's a King of the Hill type event, they're going to be able to score points first, and then they just go down that same thing. And this is going to keep going back and forth until either A1, you concede, okay, because maybe you don't want to lose all your guys, because if it's a bloodshed, you're going to lose whoever dies. So you may just concede it, suffer the penalties for the conceding of it, but your guys don't necessarily all die. Okay. Otherwise, if you win, then you're going to get the rewards for that. But before I cover that, let's go over and see what happens if it was a sporting combat. Okay. If it was in a sporting event, then you're going to look at the very center of the top of the card, and it's going to tell you what kind of event it could be. It could be a capture the flag, it could be a King of the Hill, and it could even be a spar. All right. Depending on what it is, you're just going to set up the map accordingly. Capture the flag. Of course, you got to get to their flag location and try to get that guy back. If it's King of the Hill, you're going to get the points based on if you can hold those particular areas. If it's a sparring event, okay, you're going to go up against a rival unit and hopefully you win. Okay, but sporting units, the nice thing about sporting units is nobody really dies in the sporting events. You're just trying to win the event, so that way you can recruit more people or get more benefits. Okay, but basically what's going to happen is once everything's done with combat, then you're going to go to the cleanup phase. In the cleanup phase, you're going to mark the end of the week. Okay, so you're going to put a check mark saying, hey, you know what, this day's over. Okay, or this week's over for that act. Okay, and then if you did a sporting or a bloodshed, you're going to select your rewards or collect those. If it was a sporting event, you're going to be able to recruit a rival unit, or you can gain a tactics back because you have a limited number of tactics that you can have, and if you spend them, you lose them. If it's a bloodshed event, all right, then you're going to add or upgrade one of your dice. Okay, you're just going to mark it on your little sheet, or you can add +1 health or +1 to your leadership ability, and you can start bringing them up as well. So doing sports are really good because you're going to recruit people, but then doing bloodshed is really good because you're actually going to get more powerful and you're actually going to get better as well. Okay, and you're just going to go down the line. The very back of the book's got a nice little write-up on it. On exactly how all this is going to work. Then if you fail, of course, you're going to gain Scion influence equal to whatever the act is. And you're just going to go down that line. Okay. Once all that's done, you're going to go back to the beginning and you're going to start on the travel phase. And you're just going to keep doing that over and over and over again. You're going to keep doing this until you get to the very end of Act 1. Once you get to the Act 1, or even if it's 1 or 2 phases before it or whenever you go to the capital of who you're going to face on for the Primus, you're going to go in there, you're going to do a Primus battle. Or if it's at the very end of Act 4, you're going to go in and you're going to do a Scion battle. Primus battles and Scion battles are handled just a little bit differently. They're all in the book on how those are done. All right. But ultimately, what's going to happen is if you can make it through all of the acts, you can make it through, especially the end of Act 4, get to the Scion, defeat the Scion, and if you can manage to defeat him, you win Hoplomachus. Victorum. All right, folks, that was a super high level how to play this game. And I mean really high level how to play this game. I kind of want to give you an idea of how it flows, because honestly, Chip Theory Games has a how to play video on this, but I want to say it's like an hour and a half long. It just seems like it's super, super long, but really well done, so in depth. I could not even come close to touching it. I highly recommend going and watching that if you really want to learn how to play the game. Just want an understanding how to play it. Hopefully I did it a little bit of justice. Let's hope. But you know what? Let's get into my final thoughts. Okay, so what do I think about this game? I love Hoplomachus, and this game here is Hoplomachus on steroids to me. Hoplomachus is a great 2-player combat arena battler, and this is just going to add that little bit more. You're still doing the combat arenas whenever you're doing the sports and the bloodsheds. You still have all that going for you. You still have all the list of skills that the characters are going to have. You're still trying to figure out all the tactics, how you're going to move around the board, how you're going to do everything. But you have that whole overland movement thing. You have those opportunities that you have to figure out. And you also have to figure out how in the world you're going to beat the Scion at the very end. Now, one of the cool things about the Scion is you get his sheet at the very beginning. So at the beginning of the game, you know what you have to do in order to beat him. So you can kind of gear your hero towards what it's going to take to beat him. So if he needs certain different things to go after him, or they're going to be more beneficial to attacking him, that's what you want to try to do. You want to try to build your character up towards whatever that last Scion's going to be. The problem is you just got to go through all those Primuses along the way, and they're tough in their own right. Now, every one of the Primuses are basically just the heroes on the flip side, and they're the heroes of those worlds, because the Primus you play here may be the hero you're actually playing the next time you play this game. All right. Now, one of the cool things about this game is if you really like solo campaign games, this game does it in spades, man. This game is awesome for that, because with the 4 acts, I want to say there's 12 weeks in every act, if I remember right. So basically, you're moving your token 12 different times on that board, and just to do one act, you may do it in 2 or 3 different sessions. Some people may want to sit down and they just may want to do it in one. A lot of the battles aren't necessarily too super long. It just depends on how much thinking you have to do on them and everything else. They're relatively quick. They're only going to really have 3 or 4 players or characters on each side, so they're not really too bad. They can get a little long sometimes, but for the most part, I think a person can realistically go through a single act in a single session or a game session. So realistically, to play that hero through all 4 acts is a lot of gameplay. And the fact that you have 8 different heroes that you can play, and you have something like 8 different Scions that you can go up against, the replayability on this game is through the roof. It's astronomical. Okay. Now, one of the things that I like about Chip Theory Games and Hoplomachus, and especially Hoplomachus Victorum, is I really like the way the combat structures. I like, it's Hoplomachus, it's Chip Theory's base core game. As an arena battler, it is superb. Okay. And this just does that so good in that arena, but I really like how it adds the different events. I like how you can do a sporting event, okay? And the sporting events just kind of give you, I need to recruit, I need to do this, or I need to do that, I need to try to get some more tactics built back up, okay? You can go do those sporting events if you can get to them. The bloodshed events, you're going to have to do some of them. They're hard to do, and if you get the wrong pull of your chips from the bag or something else, they can sometimes be really nasty, and you might have to try to recover from them. But you have to do those if you want to build your character up. Because when you start your character off, he's not going to have a ton of skills. He's only going to have like 2 or 3 dice, and you need to try to get those dice up higher. If you can get all 4 of your dice up to, what is it? I think it's the black dice, where it's like a 5 and 6 chance that they're always doing at least 1 point of damage. That is going to be so helpful when you go up against the Primuses and the Scions. So you really have to do that. You want to get your leadership up, because you really need that leadership value high so you can have a lot more tactics. You need it for your recruiting and everything else. So there's just a lot going on, okay? you have this little sheet, or you probably see it on mine. I actually have the little peg and the little mouse pad piece for it. But you can do all your tracking on this little guy. It works really, really well. It sets up your class. You can see where everything's at. Honestly, I like doing both of them. I've used both, and I kind of still flip-flop back and forth between both. Sometimes I like the mouse pad. Sometimes I just like to write it down. Okay, it just kind of depends on what it is. All right, but it works really good, and I really like the way this game is. It's smooth. It's really easy to learn and play. It's got a long rule book. It looks kind of daunting, but really once you start getting down and once you start playing this game, it just flows so well. Okay, Hoplomachus Victorum. It's in the Hoplomachus line. I think it is a superb game. Now, where this may not, people might not like it as much, is it is a solo only game. You're not going to play this with anybody else. This is just you. This is the maps. This is the board. You're putting it all out. But I'll tell you what, I think it's worth it. The production of this is outstanding. I love that little plastic tray that sits up front. So you have every faction out front. You have all your card decks lined up. You have all your Primuses lined up, so you know what you're going up against, and the Scion off to the side. You got a spot. You can even put your most used dice. Everything just looks so well when this thing is just sitting up and you're playing it. Absolutely fantastic looking. But I will say one thing. This box is huge. It is ginormous. Okay. Does fit on my shelf. That's okay. There's a lot of weight to this thing because there's a lot of chips inside this thing as well. But I think this is a superb game. This is one of my favorite solo-only games. This is one where if I have a long weekend and it's just going to be me and I want to pull out a game and I just want to go to town on a solo game, this is one I'm going to pull out because this is one I can sit there and I can play this thing for hours and the time just flies by. There's so much going on. There's a lot of good decisions you got to make when you're traveling. Do I go to the bloodshed? Do I go to the sport? Do I maybe come down here, spectate, and then come over here and do an opportunity because I want that card right there? What are you going to do? How are you going to try to build up your hero in order to beat that sign? You know what? Superb. I cannot recommend this game enough. Absolutely love this game. Super fantastic. That's Hoplomachus Victorum. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, Board Game Geek, Facebook, or even on X. Please leave me a comment on any one of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as soon as I can. And also, folks, if you like these videos that I do, if you haven't done so already, I humbly ask you to click on the subscription button and even click on the bell and be notified when I drop new videos. And if you like the videos that I do here, I also post videos over on the Discriminating Gamers channel. Over there, we'll do some unboxing, some playthroughs, and some reviews. I'll leave a link to Cody's channel down in the details below. So what do you call a pig that does karate? Pork chop.